Hi, Caroline Kearney here at Powell Arts, and I'm standing with the wonderful Sandra Benhaim in front of her piece, which will be in Changelings from now through November 20th. Sandra, could you introduce us to your piece?
Okay, well, thank you for that great introduction. Very happy to be part of this exhibition. I'm really looking forward to it and to see it. This piece was from a workshop that I attended at the Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Arts with, it was run by an artist named Ken Cooley. And I was not familiar with Ken until that workshop. Apparently he goes around teaching and giving these workshops, different sites across the US. This was before the pandemic. The workshop was quite interesting. This is an inkjet print of a piece that I did there. And everything that we did in that workshop, he put the limitation on that we had to only use scissors and cutting papers with the scissors. And if you'll notice, and everything was angular. He was very big on that. We did some small little abstract arrangements, a whole series on papers, using these colored. Actually, the papers were colored. We painted them. We made our own colored paper, and part of the project was then using these color papers. And he had one of the people who was helping him, like an assistant. She modeled. Her name is Maddie, and he said, let's do a drawing, and then incorporate these color square, not squares, but colored pieces, that were cut up into the drawing. And then it was kind of a little production, and then run the drawings as well as incorporating the pieces of color paper, run through Xerox, a printer. It was just an ordinary inkjet printer, and the last part of it was combining the pieces, the colored paper pieces, and the drawing. And the drawing was also made, drawings. I think what we did was we moved around the room.
Oh, so it's from multiple perspectives.
We would have different views, and that's what this is, 4 views of Maddie for this print and drawing project.
I think that this is, so I'm mostly familiar with your collages and your watercolors, and this is an interesting thing because it's combining your drawing and also your collaging and then melding it together through the beauty of technology.
Exactly.
It has such, the colors are so bold because you painted it on the paper and then used those angles. And then the lines are so sharp, and it gives us this beautiful movement within each of these pieces.
Thank you.
Did you find, and I have to point this out, when you look at it, it actually on some of the pieces, it looks 3-dimensional because obviously I'm assuming you scanned it. It took in the shadow on the page, which is really cool. So there's a lot of really fine detail on this that is quite compelling and interesting.
Thank you. And I like the movement. Your eye moves around, and I don't know if everyone would catch that, it was the same model, just 4 different views, this one from the back. But she did have on this interesting kind of outfit. I think they were like kimono pants or something.
Oh, that's cool.
So it was, which I guess you can see here.
Well, it's like there's something about it that almost looks like fashion, like when you capture like the fashion sketch, and there's something that looks like you're trying to capture someone in motion. It gives it a great and unique energy. Is this a process you're looking to continue kind of doing? Have you done any?
Thinking about it now, yes. I mean, but I do like the idea of multiples, related.
It gives
multiples
it a journey
on one.
Yeah. Well,
one
your other
work.
piece that you'll have in the show, which will include a little inset of it on the video, which like giving the stage directions. Is also working in multiple states, like with individual, which I think that's one of the things that compelled us to do these two, was because this, although it's more like of a portrait or a study, they both are playing with change between, and the show is Changelings. They're playing with change between little smaller areas, which
exactly.
And this is also a change from a collage to a print, so there's a lot that fits here.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly.
On top of all that, I'm standing here looking at this, and it has matting, which makes a picture frame. So picture frame, matting frame, and then these little windows that give me four different views. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I absolutely love that you've done is you've broken some of the windows.
I like that too.
Yes, exactly. In those areas, actually, almost all the areas.
Yeah.
It was, and thinking back, it was quite an interesting workshop. We made a sculpture, and the sculpture was made out of cardboard, and we did paint it, but the sculpture. He was obsessive about you can only use I think we did use the scissors, but that's right, we could not use glue. We could only use tape to hold these things together. You could paint the tape. So it was an interesting, very challenging.
Yeah.
But the sculpture came out a little bit more crude than I would have liked. Yeah, because of the, he put these limitations on. Maybe it was partly experimenting.
Well, I think that, so I am a writer and I write songs too. And one of the things that they do a lot when you're writing songs in a group is they give you rules of the game. Mm-hmm. And what's interesting is it makes you have to adapt and like think a little bit outside of what you're used to. Which I think like your pieces always have like little secrets and fun mysteries in them. I'm always like, look at these little secrets. And even this, like you can find little secrets in it, like from the little dot like pattern on her coat, and she's, I'm assuming, reading a book.
Yes,
and it's nice little things that you're like, oh, look at that, I see that now. And so your work always incorporates that, but I think that you are fun about pushing yourself to like experiment and like adapt to like the game, which I think is really fun in this.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask you a question that relates to that. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Sandra.
No problem.
But I know that you periodically take workshops. And what do you, as a professional artist, find you get out of it that you think would be helpful to other artists? Especially, I've never known you to have an artistic block.
You'd be surprised.
So, what do you find? What do you find out of these that both surprises you and you think would be helpful for others?
And you mean mainly from taking these workshops?
Yeah. Like, what does it give to you? What, like, how does it like impact you as an artist? Like, what does it kind of?
It opens up, new ways of thinking. I mean, at that workshop, the limitation that was put upon us of, for the sculpture, you can't use any glue. You can only tape it, and it's got to be able to stand or sit on its own. I mean, it wasn't a big sculpture.
I would have taped it to the table. I would have been like,
no, tape it itself.
no, I
Get
would have
the
taped it
piece-
to the he
Oh,
said
you
what
would've
did you
taped it
tape?
to
I
the
would have been like,
table.
you didn't say we could tape it to the table.
That's true. That's true. But only cutting the pieces and using them in these, triangles, rectangle, whatever shape. In other words, nothing was torn. It had to, and I used tearing a lot. So
Yeah.
this was, cut pieces and making your own colored paper. I hadn't tried that before. So that was that. There's always something you can learn from taking a workshop or working with other people. I think that's the exciting part.
Yeah.
That you learn. It challenges you, like you said. You're challenging yourself, and it's a learning process. As this was, and doing the multiples, it was very helpful.
Yeah,
Well,
and I don't actually think you can make. I think it is very difficult to create from a place of stagnation. So if you're not challenging yourself to go against and
Yes.
kind of grow,
Yes,
your work's not going to grow.
exactly.
So what might have been really interesting to you, like 5 years ago, if you're doing that 5 years later, and for some people that might work, but I find for most creatives, they want to kind of integrate new things, and that only happens if you challenge yourself through these kind of like collaborative processes and workshops and things.
Yeah, I would definitely say that. And even doing, it's not really stagnation. If you're doing, you continue working.
Yeah.
You're taking that experience, but I think you're most likely going to be growing along the way.
Yeah, you're going
While
to
you're doing
integrate. Like your mind is open.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And one of the things that I love about seeing, I've seen you do collaborative work with other people. I've seen you do the work from the workshops. I've seen you do other pieces that you're doing in between those pieces, and even working like with the collage group that you work with. And yet you could lay all of them out and I say, that one's Sandra's and that one's Sandra's. It has your distinctive stamp.
I'm glad
And
to
how do
hear
you
that.
keep that distinctive stamp even when you're going to something that kind of cuts you out,
Not cuts you out, but
it's short.
It almost takes you out of what we would view as your normal context, right?
Yes.
That's true. I'm glad to hear that, because I did worry that, maybe, especially this is more a recognizable image or images as opposed to my totally abstract works. But maybe I would say the color, is,
You're bold with your
like,
colors.
I'm
you
bold
like
with
color.
my colors, so I think that might be part of, the way I interpreted this. It is bold color, and I think that would hopefully be recognizable as something in my work. I don't usually, but one of these days, I guess I will do more just black and white. Change off.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine you just doing that.
You know what though? I'm
It'll
curious.
be black and white,
I'm
and all of a
curious to
sudden
see it,
it'll be
though.
like her green, because you have a very distinctive green, and it'll just be in there.
But I would be very curious to see it. So because you're always trying new things, which I think is cool. So please come see this work that is a change for Sandra, a change within itself, about a changing position in our Changelings show from now through November 20th. Thank you so much for doing this.
Oh, my pleasure. Really enjoyed it. Thank you.